Hello everyone and welcome to this video where I'm going to give you an update on what I've been working on, an update with the Unicon system, and some other things that I have up my sleeve. Now before you say all you're working on is the Unicon, I've actually heard a couple people say that, keep in mind that I'm doing my best to really expand on the system to give it as many supporting vehicles and creations as possible such that when it comes time for you to make your own, you have a series of transport vehicles and examples that you can then place into your own template. So that's really why I'm doing all this. Now, in addition to that, the helipad that you see here is going to be out quite soon. Myself and Sheppy are just finalizing some of the details. Sheppy is writing the code, I'm not doing the coding, but I've been working on releasing some extra vehicles with it. I'll show you that later on in the video. And like I said, the Unicon system. Now, before I get into all this, I will also mention over there we're going to talk about something later, so make sure you watch till the end of the video for that. We'll take a quick look at my Steam workshop. So a couple new things have been out, including all of the ULD loaders. So all of these are out, and then I gave Oma a new quick lift van, ROV operator, and now I'm starting on releasing the ROVs. Now I'm going to talk about that in a second, but before I do that, I just want to mention in the video I made a universal info display. I did upload it, several of you were asking for the actual microcontroller, and now you can actually open it up and see the code. Well, looking at all this, where to begin? Alright, first things first, these funky looking things. And then we're going to talk about these. So, as you see here, these are very interesting, kind of small creations developed specifically to pick up the Unicon containers. So you can see just how small this thing is, and actually it only has a price tag of just over $5,000 here in the game. So it really does give you a wide variety of uses for such a small and cheap system. Now, as you can see the front, we have our Unicon container, but now I've actually added the Magall system as well. Magalls in the game are invaluable, extremely useful, and now what you can do is actually pick up crates and things in the other direction. So as you can see here, now we've actually picked it up in the regular, call it the main direction, and then you can easily take it and load it, let's say on a train or on a trailer or whatever. So it just kind of drives around. Now keep in mind this one has very limited battery, so you do want to make sure to only really use it for maneuvering and transporting the Unicon containers around a fixed place such as an airfield or a dock or whatever. So it really is for that, but you can see here it kind of connects and then you can release it, and as long as we can make our way out, which generally we can because of the size of this thing, there you have it. So you just loaded a container super easy without the use of any other tools. And remember how I mentioned the other direction, the perpendicular direction? Well, we're going to go to the other one for that. This one, while a little smaller in length, it's bigger and has way more batteries. So other than that, yeah, it goes a little higher, but the general system itself is identical. You just get much longer range. Now this one is actually very capable of even picking up stuff such as a loaded water tank and things like that, things that are actually quite heavy. So if we make our way over to this Unicon container, which has a full load of firefighting water, and we go like that, all you got to do is press enable Magalls, and boom. So for such a small and cheap lifter, this is actually very valuable. Now the cargo will kind of fall over time just because it's relying on the weight, but you can always kind of just hold the up arrow. Yeah, I could make it toggle so it's always sitting at the top, but you could see it's kind of shaking if you do that, so I'd rather just leave it, and if it sags a little bit, so be it. But again, with this, we've now picked up probably one of the heaviest loads full of water, and it's still managing very nicely with this system. Now it's only powered on the rear wheel, but all the wheels do turn, so you really can maneuver it. But this thing is molasses slow. You don't want to be driving this long distances. Like I said, this is really only just for a singular area. And I could see I put Magall here as number 2 hotkey, but you really only operate it here. And so, oh, almost fell forward, but we didn't. So anyway, that is how these two systems operate. They are very, very useful and super versatile, because just look at the size of them. So really happy with those. Now, why are we talking about these anymore? This one has been out. This one isn't out yet. It will be out soon, but you'll see now I've added the Magall system to them. And not only that, this is something I'm extremely, extremely happy about: the display. Now, it does look familiar. You probably recognize it, but you'll notice that it's much cleaner. Now, the letters aren't half cut off. We got a little coloring scheme here with the various units and the transmission and things. So it just works so much better. And if you take a look here, it just looks good and functions properly. So we do have our Magalls here, like I said, and this little guy is quick. As you saw, we were up to 70 kilometers an hour here, but overall it now can pick up things in the perpendicular direction. So if you do want to load up something that isn't going in the right direction, you can do this. Or if you want to load a trailer from the side, such as this trailer here, well, all you got to do is what I just did. So you don't have to come and attach to the back. You can come and attach it like this. As long as the button is pressed, Green Bay, sounds like Green Day, there we go. And release, release, reverse, and off we go. So very, very useful system. Of course, the Magalls can replace all of this, and you really just need Magalls to lift them. But I do find having this system with the hardpoint and this just makes it attach so nicely. Now this one is the same thing with the new display. This is awesome. This is actually made by one of my Discord server moderators I know, who is a great builder, and you can see the size difference between this unit and the other one that I was just driving. This one is much bigger, and with bigger comes better range. We have a bigger motor, very low RPS, but it works very nicely and very efficient. And obviously with the bigger back end and counterweight, you can find yourself picking up much heavier things. Zyno's version is a little bit different. I kind of went ahead and put my own sort of trademark touches to this one, but even still, all the mechanisms pretty much are his, other than my own microcontroller here. And as I mentioned with the, well, first of all, you can see it's pretty heavy duty, picking up a little truck, not a big truck, but a little truck. Anyway, with this sort of system, I talked about in my recent video how to program your own display. It does take patience and time, and that's why I really didn't have the desire to perfect it any further, because I was drained making it. Now this, for comparison, is the original system. You could see, you could kind of understand what it says, but it is more or less cut off. Spotlight, you can kind of see it, but the S just looks like an O. Beacon, the B's cut off, right? So it's just not really functional. It just cut off. And then I was looking at this and I'm like, well, this part here is so big, and regardless, we're not using equal spaced bays. Like this one is bigger than this one, and this one's kind of the same size as this. So I was like, well, it doesn't make any sense making this one small, these two the same. I'd much rather make the middle one a little smaller, extend this one, and just have a nice size display, even though not symmetrical, just functional and looks so good. So I'm very happy with this, and Zynoa's version of the loader. This is the Uniload 80 with the Uniload system, and it's going to be also compatible with the Q1 system. If you watch the video, that's going to have a variety of different front loads on the front. Anyways, this will be out soon. That little truck will also be out soon. These things I'm working on. Now we get to the ROVs. So I mentioned the ROVs. The reason I'm mentioning the ROVs is because of this thing. So this station is the Mark II version of the ROV station, and it's compatible with any Mark II ROV. So you can see all these are C-Fi 2. If it's a C-Fi 1, it will not be compatible. But what's really neat is you could turn on the remote channel, and maybe let's go to channel 3. And even here, if you really want to be fancy, here we can go to channel 2. And then over here, you can say, all right, let's see channel 2. Now we're controlling the RL right here. Let's go to channel 3. All right, now we're controlling the regular R. Now the RL stands for remote control or radio control long range. It has a bigger antenna, bigger battery life, and this is just the regular old remote version. This guy here, C, cable. So this one you have to tether it. But what's really neat with all of these ROVs is they have the same type of microcontroller. So even if you don't want to use battery life, you can actually connect it here to the control cable, and then as long as this is off, so this is only to have remote ROV mode, and if it's not remote mode, it's cable mode, and boom. And the nice thing is you can actually use the viewing scope with it too, and that's part of this Unicon container. So this Unicon container is super valuable, and you can actually use it with any of these. So this is what's currently out. People, yes, they were complaining, saying that it doesn't function properly, it doesn't work very easily, and honestly, we just are stuck with the limitations of the game. Take a look. It's 3 blocks high and like 6 blocks long. I mean, you can't really expect much. These little fins aren't powerful enough to really move it. So it does work, but does it work well? To be debated. It works well enough, let's say, for its task. Now, one thing that you guys are going to like is that I actually went ahead and also updated the RV Gander. So you'll see that now it has 3 different Unicon or H4 bays, the green ones, the yellow one, and the yellow one in the middle. Now, this is not a mistake. This cannot be a connector because of the door, but as long as you have 3 points of contact, your thing isn't going anywhere. So either which orientation, these 3 will still work good enough. This one here is fine, but this is now out. So you can actually use the Gander with the Unicon system, which is quite nice. And this one is probably my favorite, the RL, because it is also Unicon compatible. What does that mean? Well, that means you can hop into any one of these, drive up to the back of it, and load it up as if it was a regular Unicon container. You don't have to wait for a special crane or lift. So if we look at the back of the ROV, you see the electric connector and the hard point. So only one side works as a Unicon, but you do have the H4 connectors, and on all of these, I don't think the small one, like this guy, but on all of the larger ROVs, you actually have a single sliding track in the main direction. So you can put it onto a sliding track and it should function as expected. Now, you do have to connect to the thing properly, otherwise you will get phantom physics and all kinds of stuff explodes, so be very cognizant of that. We're going to try again with the faster one, and boom, connected. So you can see, well, it's picking it up. Struggles a little bit, but look at the size of the ROV next to the size of the Rat. So I'd probably recommend using the larger Rat by Zynoa, but regardless, you could see that sliding track on the underside of the ROV, and with this system, you can now easily attach this ROV into any one of the ROV compatible trailers, helicopters, whatever. Something I'm going to do, actually, I really have an idea to do a gameplay video where I take the helicopter, throw in the ROV and throw in the control unit right here, and then actually go and explore a shipwreck. So we're going to see that video hopefully soon. This trailer isn't out yet. All of these things here more or less are out. This trailer is not out yet, but you could see it's very useful for what we're trying to do. The helipad has changed, so we added this staff parking here, and actually that will be the spawn point for vehicles. Obviously the helicopter pad is the spawn point for helicopters, and the cargo bay is the spawn for Unicon cargo. So you're going to see a lot of cool things coming out with this add-on. And if we jump onto the add-on itself, now this is a sneak peek for you guys, you're going to see that we have ourselves a lot of vehicles. Now I'm just going to hide the water, but if we start from the top, you're going to see kind of the H1, the Hummer, the SUV, a couple of the smaller trucks, a couple of the loaders, and then the cargo van and the cargo truck. Then a bunch of these support vehicles for loading Unicons, and then pretty much all the Unicons and pretty much all the helicopters, plus this tilt rotor. And I didn't put the two versions, the 90 and the 92 luxury and rescue. I just put one of each to kind of try to keep the mod a little smaller in size. But you're going to see this coming out soon. This is a fantastic code written by Sheppy5. I can't even begin to scratch the surface of the level of expertise and genius required for making something like that. So, wild. And finally, as promised, the OMA hangar. So with the helipad, this is the next logical step. And while you may not see a lot of changes, I actually did close off the front end, so you actually kind of have a gap. Obviously the exterior needs a lot of work. The interior more or less done, but we need functionality in here. And you can see that there's certain elements such as this crane that needs to be worked on. Now the really neat thing I'm planning on doing with the crane is you actually have to plug it into electricity. So you plug it in, and then there'll be a control pad somewhere on the side here to operate the winch. So you can actually lift things up in situ without having to, they're going to be kind of movable items, let's call it. Of course, we have our beautiful little kind of hangar building with the sliding doors. This is going to be kind of a luxury apartment. Whether it's actually living quarters or not, I have to decide, but it's going to be kind of a crew hangout more so, I think. And then we got a little garage for storing certain things. And this is the front area, which is actually the main entrance. So we do kind of have an Art Deco style overhang structure that I have to work on. But the general idea of this very blocky structure is here. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to see a video polishing and finishing this up, because currently we just have the actual creation, but the actual finishing procedure may be a video. It honestly might work properly. Anyway, that is what I've been working on. I've been shooting out updates. I've been making things as quick as I can. Been making videos as quick as I can. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the display tutorial, stuff like that. There's things like this that I just am working really hard on, and it's coming. Here is the original version, just for your information, by Zainoa. So I did open up the cabin and removed kind of this system where you have a door. You could see that I do love the door, but I just like the open size type of cockpit for these things. I also made the wheels a little smaller and narrower because this is even a bigger unit. So if I decide to do something even more heavy duty, it'll be this one. Anyway, you saw also what mine looked like. This is the original. You saw the video, what I'm working on. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much to all of my Discord server boosters, my YouTube members. I really do love all of the extra kind of appreciation that you give me. And I want to thank all of my moderators on my Discord server and admins, of course. And I really want to thank each and every one of you for being here, for joining us, and for commenting, watching, liking these videos, joining the community, participating in the build challenges, all that good stuff. So, thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time. And until then, happy Stormworksing, everyone.